Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of the Indigo Womb Wisdom Podcast. I'm your host and sister friend, Shatia T. Owsley, and thank you for watching and or listening. So sit back, grab some tea and a notebook, and let's vibe together as we have organic and practical conversations embracing intuitive womb wisdom, spirituality, and a sprinkle of magic to rebel, restore, and radiate overall wellness in our lives.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Indigo Womb Wisdom Podcast. I am your host and your sister friend, Shatia T. Owsley, and today I would like to introduce our guest, the beautiful, the energetic, the amazing, don't play with her because she's real powerful and stuff, Kenyetta Perkins. Kenyetta is a human resource professional. She is a yoga teacher, a spiritualist. She is a mindset coach, a Reiki master, and a death doula. Kenyetta lives life through her experiences, using each chapter, whether pain or power, as sacred curriculum for the transformation. Kenyetta's work is heart-led and spirit-fed. She creates spaces for women to reconnect with their truths and reignite their power by unpacking the container of life's traumas, conditioning, and uncertainties so that they can reclaim their wholeness. Kenyetta comes from the experience of healing, being sexually violated, a parentified eldest daughter, deeply rooted absent father trauma, people-pleasing, and generational pathology wounds, whether through breath, whether through movement, stillness, or shadow work. Kenyetta believes healing isn't about fixing, it's about remembering who you've always been and knowing that you don't live by standards. You, in fact, are the standard. Girl, you better come on.
Yes, because we are.
You better come look. I had chills reading that bio. Okay.
Thank you so much for that.
I'm so happy. Let me tell y'all real quick before I turn it over to her, the way I slid up into these DMs of hers. Okay.
I'm so glad you did.
And she responded, "You are such a beautiful spirit and such a beautiful soul. I'm so happy that you came across my For You page. I'm so happy that we got to take some time to do our virtual meet and greet and to chat, and that you accepted the invitation to be here today." And so I read your bio. You are doing some amazing work, not just in the community, but you continue to do that work and be an example of the work you're doing on yourself so people can actually see it in practice. This is real life. If you see her, you know that she is really walking in her path and her truth, and what she is speaking, she is also practicing in her life. So how did you get started, Miss Ma'am? How did you get started?
Oh, it started. I mean, I could go all the way back to the beginning of where everything started, but everyone has trauma. So, trauma starts in the beginning. So I'll start where the actual need, then calling for healing began. And that was one day I was a wife and a mother and a friend and a sister. I was all the things, but I was nothing to myself. And I was in the car one day, excuse me, and I was driving. My throat is dry, sorry.
So it's okay.
And I was driving and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't catch my breath. I just felt this heaviness come over me and I had to pull to the side. I never felt it before in my life. And at the time I was living in a new state. I didn't have any family there. I had one friend. I called her and I said, "I need help." I said, "I cannot breathe. I cannot do this." And she immediately hooked me up with someone who, in the field. And I took the help. And moving forward from that, I was, given medications and given all these things from like maybe a 30-minute conversation. And I believed it, I still do to this day, but in that moment I believed it even more so. And I took the medications and I did the things. And then a little while later, I found myself in that place again. And this time I was in the closet. I had dropped my children off at school. My husband had went off to work and I went in my closet and I just fell to my knees on the floor. And I can feel it now. I was just done. I was going to be done. I was going to leave. And the first thought in my head was, I don't want my children to find me. And I believe if you're going to do something, you're going to do it. So in that moment, I knew I didn't want to do it. It was just the only option I thought I had. So I called out. At this point, I'm confused. I don't know. And I don't believe anything. I just believe that my life is not where it should be. And so I just cry out. If there is a God, if you help me, I promise that I will be the face that I need in this moment. And that's where my healing began. It took off. The first time I ever experienced healing, true healing after that moment, I remember my husband brought home a singing bowl for me. And he said, I thought you would like this. And I set it on, up as decoration on one of the shelves in the living room for a while. And one day I picked it up and I hit it. And I said, oh. And then I just kept playing with it because I didn't know what it was. And over time, just to shorten it, I learned the bowl and the frequency. It was I still have the bowl. It was a very small brown and gold bowl. And that bowl, it seems like the best way for me to explain it, because I like to give visuals, it seems like every time I hit that bowl, a piece of my healing appeared before it happened. It was like, let's just say it was a calling to my ancestors. It's like every time I hit it, one appeared and another appeared. And I'm just, going through life that way. And I was a runner from all the things you experience, right? All the things in life that I had experienced. I was sexually assaulted by my grandfather. I was a parentified oldest daughter. I have been moving since I was 14 years old at that point. Just moving through life. I never experienced what joy was, what childhood was, outside of what I was conditioned to believe it was for me, right? And so I just remember running all the time. I ran off when I turned 20, when I was 19 or 20-ish. I ran off and joined the military. I was trying to seek peace, and so I was running from everything. And so back to why I was running so much that when my healing began, I distinctively remember hearing, I need to sit you down. You know, I tried going back to church, and the church that I'm from is about singing and praising and dancing. And it taught me that. It taught me joy. It taught me movement. But it didn't teach me how to depend on myself outside of everything else, to not fear depending on myself and whatever that looks like. So I was given Buddhism. I was thrown into Buddhism. I was thrown into the practices, the ways of life, the chanting. And when I tell you, it was so hard for me in the beginning because I didn't know how to sit down. Everything about me, and you see me now, everything about me is movement and dancing and yes and this. And so my spirits was like, you need to sit down. You need to stop running and you need to feel everything. You don't need to be aware of it because you know it's there. You need to feel it. And so with every meditation, I felt and I cried and I felt and I cried and I asked why. And I saw the visions, and that's where the container appeared to me. It was a mason jar, and it was just full of my trauma. And I began to unpack it one by one with every modality that I learned, with every time I went and meditated, with every lecture that I heard. I was so hungry that I just took it all in. I stopped running. And so that's where my healing began. My healing first began with me realizing that I had to do something different than what the world told me I needed to do. A lot of people don't like to hear me say it, and I don't care, but God couldn't heal me in that moment the way that I was conditioned to believe what God was. I had to find the God within me, the God, the things that were in me and what made me believe and want to move forward. Because the God that I was taught to fear. I was taught that I had to live a certain way and the ways that I was taught to live were killing. And so that's where my healing began.
Yeah. I know that your story is a story that so many of us, right, have experienced in some way, shape, or form. I always say the spirits will sit you down. If you are not listening, you are not, oh, okay, let me help you sit down. Since you don't want to be obedient to what it is that I'm telling you to do.
Yes.
So, how do you continue to incorporate those modalities in your life now on a daily basis? Because as we understand, healing is not a destination, right? It is definitely a journey. And as you enter different points in your life, the journey looks a little bit different on what you're tapping into and what you're working through.
I incorporate them as they are needed.
Mm,
So I learned what each modality does for me,
mhm,
and depending on what I am experiencing is what I will go to. And so on a daily, it's more so honestly and truly it's walking meditation for me because I am one with nature. I like to be outside. And so walking, putting on my headphones, and there is a belief that you have to listen to frequencies. You have to listen to, all these things in order to be meditating or to be in that space. And I don't believe that. I listen to music that feeds my soul, whether it's the Isley Brothers or Nipsey Hussle. I'm going to listen to what is feeding my soul and what my soul is calling for at that time. And as I walk, I begin to dance. So my walking meditation is not just, the traditional sacred walking meditation that I was introduced to, but it has evolved and I move, I dance, people watch me, I'm just walking and I really do not care because that modality is something that I need. I could be having a bad day at work and come home and everything is chaotic in the house and I'll leave. I'll put my headphones on, I'll strap on my walking shoes and I'll leave and I'll come back in an hour or two and I'm fine. It's so I would say the modality that I go to the most is meditation in a walking form. In the beginning, it used to be sitting still because I needed that, but it
mhm,
evolved into walking. And another modality that I really enjoy that just it's something that's ingrained in me are my singing bowls. And I do the same thing with my singing bowls. And I know if you've seen some of my pages, I incorporate the music that raised me into my healing. And so you might hear me put on some D'Angelo or some Cheryl Lynn and catch that beat and just zone out and heal myself in that moment because those songs hold memories for me. And the frequency of those songs may be bad for someone else, but for me, it invokes a joy. And
mm.
so that's what I do.
And I'm so happy that you touched on your meditation practice because I think sometimes people who want to start meditation, they believe that there's only one way to meditate, and that is sitting down, being in quiet, focusing on your
Yes.
breath. And for some people, like we know that it may be hard to start there, right? It may be
Yes.
hard to start sitting because when you sit, oh, everything comes to you when you sit in
Yes.
quiet. And if you are not one who is yet comfortable with being by yourself in your own company, it can be a bit difficult. So I'm so happy that you talked about, even though you started with the traditional way of meditating, you were like, that's not the only way that you can do it.
No, it's not. And I believe that, sometimes, like you said, healing is not linear. Like
Mhm,
healing is not even like to me, healing is not even a destination. Healing is an evolution. And as you evolve, things are going to change and grow and shift for you, right? It's just different stages of your life. And for meditation, the one thing that shifted me, and I had a client and I had to tell her, you were raised being disciplined the old school way with shut up. Don't you say nothing else. Be quiet. I was raised that way. So in the beginning, honestly and truly, meditation can feel like a spanking.
mhm,
So you have to learn how to heal that wound, that inner child first and talk to your inner child before you can jump into sitting still and being with those emotions. So sometimes I feel like we as a collective have taught people to just jump into things and this is the way it should be without telling them to jump into yourself. And what do you need? How does your body lead you to be here? It's okay if you move. It's okay if you can't sit still because in those moments, that's where things come up. It was in those moments that I realized little Kenyetta never played.
mm,
And every time we sat down to meditate, she was that kid in the classroom where the teacher was saying, hey, she's talking too much, she's moving, she's doing. And I had to tell her, you know what? I got us.
mhm,
You can go play.
mhm,
And I would release her to go play.
mhm,
And ever since I released her, I was at, I can sit. She's
mhm.
playing and she's not trying to sabotage that practice that other parts of Kenyetta need. But I had to release her and heal her and let her know, baby, it's okay. You could go play. I got us.
Mhm,
And that's what it is. It's about really honoring who you are and what you need. Because everybody doesn't need what I need.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need, we may have even experienced the same thing, but the way that we are led to heal can be completely different.
Absolutely.
So it's like I honor people by where they are and what they need. And I'm big on telling people, don't copy me.
Mm,
Don't use me as an idol because you don't want what I've been through.
mm,
Use what you learn from me to evolve into your own self. Everything I teach or everything you see me do might not work for you. And that's
mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
But watching me use what works for me helps you be more secure in doing what works for you. My ancestor, my auntie, that's my girl. She be riding. Before she passed, I remember I was telling her, people are always, disliking me. They're always talking about me. They're telling me I think I'm all that, like all these things. And she told me, girl, and I don't know if I can cuss on here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? She said, girl, fuck them people. And that is my affirmation to this day. And that helped me. And that's why I tell people, you have to use what you get. I didn't come from the subtle, calm life. I came from women who had to be in their masculine, women who, were silenced and were fighting to speak. And so those are the women that are catapulting me. And who am I to say, oh, this is wrong. You shouldn't be speaking like this. You should be speaking like that. When my ancestors are the very ones who paved the way. I am them. I'm just supposed to be better than them. Not better than them as in I ain't them, but better than them as I'm going to do what y'all didn't get to do when y'all was here. And I'm going to keep that going.
Mm, mm. So how did you make the transition? You started in HR, right? You
I
started in
started in
HR.
HR.
And then how did you how did you transition to, or when did you transition to start saying, yeah, I need to bring this to the collective. I need to bring this to the community. People need to know that they're not alone and that
Mhm.
they can heal, and I want to be a light to assist people on their journey. How did that process start?
Process started in multiple ways, but one way I can pinpoint it to HR is I remember people coming into me. HR is like the space where nobody trusts HR. But for
Mhm.
some reason, everyone trusted me. They trusted me with what they were saying. They trusted me to, help them, even though they knew I worked, within
Mm,
that company.
mhm.
And so I said, wow, if people feel this from me here, I know that people outside will feel it too, because I had already started, having friends and found people who knew me see the change and asking me questions and things like that. And so when I started working in HR, to be honest with you, I started in the military. I was in HR in the military. So
Okay.
that's where the background came. And when I got my first HR job, it's a story because I was working at the front desk. I had just moved to a new state and I was the front desk receptionist in a retirement home. And so the HR person left. And I went to I forget his name at the time, but I went to the head of the place and I said, if that position is open, I can do it. And he said, you think so? I said, I know so. And he said, here go the keys to your office. And I've been in the field ever since. And so I tell that story because working in the retirement home is actually where my death doula calling came to be. Because even though I was HR, I was also teaching yoga to the residents of the home. So I was doing all the work within this place. And that's where like me knowing I needed to go out more into the world came to. That's where I got my yoga certification. I would sit with the women and hear their stories, and they would one of them told me, she was like, you are too good to be here. You need to be out there. And when you get to that age, you say what you need to
Yeah.
say and you don't care. So I was like, "Oh, okay." And I would hear it so much. They would always just tell me, how what they saw in me and hearing their stories, how some of them had aspirations, but are now here and can't do it because they lived a life that they didn't want to live and they wish that they would have did this or did that. That just started to shift me even more because I'm like, I'm not going to be here. I don't want to be here in this space still saying, I wish I did that. I should have done that. And so that first HR job in that establishment is what catapulted me really into stepping out and showing my face, online and starting, to do and give the work, be the medicine, so to say.
Girl, you better bring all this stuff full circle. My goodness. I mean, it is just so beautiful to see. There's so many gems that you just dropped. You saw it in real time what it's like to be closer to the end in the point of transition, right?
Hmm.
When you can truly look back over your life and really say, I should have done that. I should have been there. I
Yes.
should have taken that risk. And you didn't ignore it. Like you said, I'm going to take this because it's in my face. It doesn't get any clearer than this. And I think that is a reminder that so many of us need when we are in the hustle and bustle of life and trying to get the next shiny thing and trying to make the next however much money to the detriment of our spirit, to the detriment of our
Yes.
true calling that is over our lives, and ignoring, that's that small voice that keeps nagging at us to say, are you going to step out and do this? Are you going to, start this project? I provided you these gifts. Are you going to step into these gifts? Are you still going to keep going to that job that you can't stand?
Right.
It may not look the way you want it to look, but if you just take 2 steps, you never know what it may look like if you
Yes.
go to the other side, right?
Yes.
And you were brave enough and courageous enough to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna jump to that other
And
side."
I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna just do both.
Yeah.
Because speaking astrologically, I'm a Taurus, and Taurus don't play about their money.
Yeah.
I don't feel good when my money don't look good.
Okay.
So I was like, I have to figure out a way to do both. Because I'm not one of those people like quit your job, you don't need your job. No, baby, I do.
Do
I like stuff. I like to do things. And sometimes I do be like, well, I just want to leave. I need to leave this job and just solely jump into this. But there has never been a time whether I needed to go to a retreat or I needed to, be on a podcast where me working has been in the way of me being.
Mm.
And so right now it works for me, especially with the state of the world and all these things. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite and tell people, yeah, just go ahead and quit your job and
Mhm.
step into this. In the beginning, that was me because I was I was caught up in that. But I had to be true to myself. Like I said, I don't like when my money funny. Yes, I
Right.
have a husband. Yes, he make money, but that has nothing to do with me.
Right.
Right? That's still like what I know. I am used to a certain type of life and
Mhm.
doing what I want to do.
Mhm.
And I know that plays a part, in my day to day when
Mhm.
I'm in a position that I don't desire to be in. And that would be me not being authentic if I said, quit your job quit your job if you want to. Quit your job because you need to. But there are ways that you can do both if you are called to. And I feel like in this season, that is what I was called to do. So that is what I'm doing. And here we are.
Yes, yes. So when people seek you out to work with you,
Mhm.
what does it look like to book a consultation, to have a conversation with Kenyetta?
So that looks how it's supposed to look is you're supposed to go to my website and you book a consultation call. And then we see, because I don't work with tons of people. I'm not the booked and busy type of spiritual person.
Mhm.
You need to be called to me and I need to be called to you. Because I'm not here for everybody. And I believe that everybody has something to offer to the collective. And what I have is not for everybody, even if it
Mhm.
looks like it because you've come across my page.
Mhm.
So I'm very selective with who I work with. And we have that call. And in that call, I'm tapping in to see the baby. It's okay. I'm
Thank you.
tapping in to see if,
Y'all are getting real time, real life motherhood
yes, and I
excitement.
love
Let me
it.
get my baby his green scissors. Hold on.
Yes,
Here. You're welcome. Go with daddy. Okay.
love it. That's a part
Yes.
of life.
Yes.
So, where were we at? We were at, oh, how do you work with me?
Yes.
And so we have that call, and
Mhm.
I'm tapping in that call to make sure that what I can offer is what you need. I'm big on listening to my spirit and making sure that I can provide something for you, or you are even in a place to begin to work for me, because I am not against therapy. Therapy is what I went to. So if you need therapy, I'm going to tell you, I suggest that you go, and seek therapy. I am not a therapist, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's how that looks for me. That's how I get them. But sometimes that can be tricky because doing this work you have to be able to discern people telling you what they think you want to hear. And sometimes people really want to be my friend.
Mm.
They want me to be that person for them. And I had to really work hard to learn how to say no to that because I'm people pleasing tendencies. So my work has taught me that. And so you can go to my website and book a consultation. I'm not going to DM you. I'm not going to reach out to you. I'm never reaching out to anybody to work with them. And you need to reach out to me, right? And that's how it works. Someone will slide in my DMs and say, hey, I want you to do this, or are you available for that? And if it's, client wise, work wise, we have that call and we see, I let them know in the beginning, we're going to see if this is where you need to be. If I'm the coach for you and you're, the client for me, and we go from there because I've had those situations happen so much that I had to figure out a way to hone it down. I understand that my aura attracts. I understand people are attracted to an avatar,
Mm.
but we're not working with the avatar. We're working with the soul, with the spirit. And so you need to make sure that you are even ready for what it is that I can offer you. And that's not saying that I'm just this great person. That's just saying that I understand that everything is not for everybody and every dollar is not meant to be made, or every client is not meant to be made by me. I
Mhm.
can't, there might be something that you need that I can't do. I can refer you. I know a lot of women. And so sometimes I'll say, I know her. She'd be good for you.
Mhm.
And it goes
Mhm.
from there. So that's
Mhm.
how it works.
Yeah. And I love that because I think a lot of times we can get caught up in, one, especially when you're called to do this work, we learn that we are still on our own journey of
Yes.
healing and evolution. And when you do come from a people pleasing space, right, that you have to overcome because that's just kind of how we were. I don't
Yes.
know. That's what we were taught. That's what we learned. That if I'm quiet, if I'm doing what everybody asks me to do, you're the one who's, oh, you're just so great. You're so this, you're doing everything right. And okay, well, I can help and I can do this.
Yes.
But when you actually sit down and think about how stifled you are as a person and how everyone else is so happy and pleased, but internally you are literally dying
Yes.
inside because you don't want to say the wrong thing, you don't want to do the wrong thing, you don't want to dress the wrong way, you don't want to come off a certain type of way, you
Yes.
take on tons of projects that you don't have the bandwidth because you want to you want to see people happy, you want to see them, you want to be that helper, that pleaser in
Yes.
a sense.
Yes.
And I think when you get to a point that you realize, hey, 20 years has passed already. Wait a minute. Wait, you start
Yes.
looking at life differently. How you look at
Yes.
life in your 40s, your 50s is not the same way that you're looking at life when you were in your teens or in your 20s. And that's another thing I think for me, just hearing your story about working in the nursing home, it had to
Mhm.
be so just a moving experience for you to feel I may be here, but this is the other end of life.
Yes.
Like this is the
Yes.
other end of life. And these are people who went, they're telling me, get out here and do what
Yes.
you have been called to do. Don't be me.
Yes.
Don't have these regrets because life is still going to keep moving. It's still going to keep Girl, wear the shirt. Okay? Wear the shirt. Go on the trip. Wear the
That's
lipstick, put the
do it.
jewelry on, put all the
Do it.
different patterns on, dance in the street because listen, one of the things where people going to talk about you whether you do it or you don't do it.
Or you don't. And that's what you have to learn. People, there are unhappy people in this world, there are happy people in this world, and to me, I don't practice either, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
There's some times where I am in a state of my emotions where I'm not where I want to be and I'm aware of that. Let me fix that. And there are times where I am residing in joy because to me, happiness is temporary. It's like that dopamine hit when your paycheck hits or when you buy something. You're happy in that moment, but then you instantly crash. Joy is personal, baby. I reside in joy. Joy is me at 48 outside hula hooping to Beyonce because that's what I'm going to do and that's what makes me feel good.
And who gonna check you,
You know,
boo? Who gonna
who gonna
check you?
check me? Joy is me, wearing what I want to wear. Joy is me showing up to my corporate job as Kenyetta.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so many things that I'm going to tone down,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to tone down me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to remove everything and walk in there as one person and leave another.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take me as I am, or maybe that's not the place for me, right? My joy is very personal because I never knew that it existed. I never knew that joy existed. And that makes me emotional because I lived life happy for so long and happiness was literally killing me because it was, it was vices and it was, hiding. It was external. Joy is internal. Joy is everlasting to me. No matter what I'm going through, no matter what I'm facing, it is my joy that I fall back on. It is the joy that catapults me to be able to continue to do what I do and to be authentic, to show up as Kenyetta. I don't care what you think about me. Now a lot of people say, everybody says you don't care what you think about. They don't care what people think about them, but you really do. I really don't. Now I'm aware that people may think things about me, but do I care? No. Because caring means that I'm going to shift. Caring means that I'm going to, crouch and I'm going to shrink. I don't care. I'm still going to show up big. I'm still going to be me. And that's what joy taught me. Joy taught me that it's very personal. And what joy looks like for me is not going to look the same for you. And that's okay. And there's no judgment there. It's who I am and where I am in life. I'm reaching that age. I'm knocking on 50's door. But there's this joy and this glow and the spirit of youth that I refuse to let, ageism have, that I refuse to let the world have from me. I know what makes me and keeps me whole. And I'm going to do that whenever the fuck I need to.
Yes. I was having a conversation with my mom last week and I was like, I said, I feel so youthful. I said, I know that I'm not 19, I'm not 20 years old. I said, but in my spirit, when I have conversations with people or when I'm out and I see people, I sometimes have to remember, oh, we're around the same age because I feel so much
Yes.
younger than a lot of the people that I'm around. And I know it's an energy thing, right? It
Yes.
is not a age, like age wise, it's energy felt, right? That I feel youthful. Like I feel like I'm aging backwards. Like I'm so
Yes.
silly. I just want to have fun. And and what I realized is that, like you, I was a latchkey kid. My mom was a single mom, and it was just me and her. We grew up together. And, we have these conversations. And I said, well, I don't remember a lot of my childhood. And she'd be like, do you remember this happening? And I'd be like, no, I don't remember that. But I always felt like I was a little lady. I always felt like an adult for as
Mm.
long as I can remember. And I feel like now the kid that I wasn't then is surfacing now. It's the little
Yes.
girl in me now that's like, girl, come on.
You want to go
Let's
play.
play. Let's have a good time. Let's do. And it's not to say that I didn't play. It's not to say that certain things didn't happen, but I don't remember a lot of them. I do remember feeling like I was grown. Like I felt like I was grown. Like you couldn't tell by the time I was 21, even in high school when people were like, oh, we're doing this, we're doing, I was like, grow up. Like that's how I felt. I felt like a grown woman. And now that I'm a grown woman with children, a home and
Yes.
have experience and now I feel the most youthful now than I've ever felt in my life. Now it could be that two and a
Yes.
half year old too. I mean, he could be part of. But even before him, even before my 12-year-old, like I just have this sense of youth that I don't think that I ever felt until these last few years. And it's keeping me young, it's keeping me going, it's keeping me stepping in when I feel like, oh no, I shouldn't be doing that, or no, I'm not gonna do. No, that little Shatia comes out. I was like, girl, nah, we about to do this. We about to try to make this.
Yes,
I just find myself dancing and just moving and making up songs like little kids do. And I'm like, well, I like this. I like
yes.
this. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes,
It's
yes.
such a beautiful thing. So, for those watching, what are some tips that you have that they can start to implement in their life if they say, hey, this was a confirmation that I needed? This was the message that I needed to hear today. How do I start on my journey? What would be just a couple gems that you would just say, start here? And I understand that healing, we know is different for everybody. It's individualized, for sure. It's your own custom journey. But what would you say as a spiritualist, as a guide to those who are ready to walk this path of healing and finding their joy? What would you say to them?
Challenge everything that you in your head said no to, but out your mouth agreed to. Challenge it. And I'm speaking on your everyday life. As a woman, we are taught and we are we are conditioned to believe that we are supposed to be a certain way. Whether you're a mother, you're a wife, you know how you hold the house, how you present yourself, all these things, it's all fake. Challenge all of the norms and be yourself. Be an anomaly. Don't fit in. That's how I started. It's going to feel very weird and very awkward. Start in the mirror with how you look at yourself, what you like about yourself. And every time you find something that you don't like, ask yourself why. Why don't I like this? My biggest thing was I had 2 C-sections. I stayed in the gym. I know weights. I know body, everything. But that part of my body, I never loved. And one day I asked myself, why? Because the world said my stomach's supposed to be flat. Because the world said that I am supposed to look a certain way. And that right there shifted how I looked at my body. But how do you feel? How do you look at yourself? And every day I woke up, I placed my hands on my womb because it gives life. And I thanked it and I loved it. And you have to challenge everything that you've been conditioned to believe. That's where you start, because that's the hardest part, because it is deeply ingrained within you. And another tip number 2 that I can give is surface level relationships should be normalized. Coming into my healing era, I had issues with my parents. And as a Black woman, you honor your parents no matter what they do. That's your parents no matter what, right? I didn't want to not talk to my mother. I didn't want to hurt my mother, but I needed to distance myself, and I didn't know how. Surface level. You good? How you feeling? I love you too. And go about my business. Don't go deep. You don't go deep with a person that you know has the capabilities to drown you. You stay on the surface. It will be hard as well, but that's what you have to do. You have to learn how to normalize surface level conversations. People are like, I don't want to talk if it's not deep. You got to know who you can go deep with, who you can swim with, and who you got to float with. That's something that saved me as well, because, you just don't want to do certain things with certain people. And you have to learn. Healing is about learning. It's about, recentering yourself and being a different person. And the third thing I can say is, girl, fuck them people. That's what my auntie said. And that's what I said, because people are the very reason why you are where you are right now. Listening to people, believing people is the very reason why we are where we are right now. You have to learn that no matter what, at the end of the day, we are all here for the same end goal. We're all going to transition. And what you do leading up to your transition is not going to be in another person's obituary. I refuse to allow the world to write my obituary. You're not going to get up and say, Kenyetta was this, Kenyetta was that. You're going to know who I was. You're not going to be able to get up and say anything about me. You're not going to get up and preach beliefs about me that were not true, because I'm living that. You're gonna know that I'm there in the spirit. You're going to miss my physical. You're going to miss me in the physical because I lived my life for me. I showed up as me. I refuse to allow this world to write my obituary, and so should you. You are the standard. Who better to be the standard than you? Who can be you better than you? There are people who watch you because we're on social media now. There are people who get up and silently watch you and morph into the woman that you healed to be. And you mean to tell me that that's not enough? Be yourself. That's it.
You better close out the podcast without me closing it out. How do we love on you, ma'am? How do we love on you? How do we support you? What do you have? Maybe I should let me rewind. What do you have coming up? And how can we support you in what you have coming up, ending 2025 and going into 2026?
To be honest with you, ending 2025, going into 2026 is just me and Perry.
Okay.
Me and Perry, she liked to tussle. Anything closing it out, but actually, honestly, shifting into that. Okay. I'm in a season of life right now where I have adult children.
Yes.
And that's a grief process in itself because I'm trying to figure out where I belong, where to keep, my sanity and to keep my heart center and to keep the connection that I have with my children. And we don't talk about that enough.
Yeah.
Becoming a parent to adult children is a grieving process because they no longer need you in the capacity that they once did. And I'm shifting. I'm at that point in life where I'm shifting and I'm learning. So a new Kenyetta is evolving in this moment. A new me, new services, new everything because I'm in a different time in my life. It's shifting. I'm pivoting and I'm learning that. And I wouldn't be able to show up in the world as I do and be to people who I am if I didn't do the work on me first.
Yeah.
And so right now I'm working on learning this aspect and this portion of life, So that's where I am. But you can find me. I am Fist Pump Sister on Instagram and TikTok. My website is all in every bio, but it's www.innermodalities.com. And you find me there. And sometimes I tell people, come to my page if you feel in a certain type of way. You're going to leave feeling another way. Right? There's no middle for me. You either going to love me or you going to hate me. You going, I wish she shut up, or you going to love me.
Yeah.
And either one is okay. I love joy. I love helping people. And before we close out, if I have time,
yes.
I remember I said, you were talking about, being a latchkey kid. I am the eldest daughter of 4 girls.
Me
right?
too.
And then I have 4 cousins. My mom, my auntie who I said, girl, fuck them people. She had 4 girls and her and my mom were the only girls. And I raised all of them. I took care of all of them. My life, I just feel called to say it revolved around for so long. And I often tell this story and I don't ever want them to feel, because I know they'll see this, that what I did and what I was forced to do for them made me hate them in any type of. Those are my babies. Those are my girls. We are the 8. There's 8 of us. We are the great 8. And I'm proud of all of us. We did our shit. We was raised wrong, but we stayed strong. And I love y'all for that. I love them down. I've never had to worry about a friend. I've never had to worry about love. I've never had to worry about being seen with those 7 women in my life ever. And I love y'all for that. I felt called to tell them that because I tell that story so much and people believe, when you do that, you want to distance yourself. No, we tight. And I just want anybody out there that's going through that, maybe that can help you, be able to ease that road because it's not a hate. It's just something that is a part of my healing process. And even if I speak ill of my mother, even if I speak ill of anything in my life, that doesn't mean I hate you. It means that situation was a pivotal part in my healing, my need for healing, and I have to tell the story. Now, if the story hurts you, then maybe you should be doing the healing too, right? So always remember that healing is not about reaching. It's not about searching for something. And it's not a continuous process. It's an evolution. And you will sit and you will rest in certain spaces and enjoy it. Never forget to enjoy where you are. But always remember that there will come a time where you will be catapulted to heal so you can evolve some more. Don't look for it. it will find you. And that's what my hope for every woman watching this is that you love yourself so much. You love yourself so much that it makes other people sick to watch it if they don't want to heal themselves. Love yourself so much that nothing can penetrate that. Not the foo-foo cliche healing, not all the baths and all. I'm talking about loving yourself when you look in the mirror and you see changes and you don't like them. Learning how to love that part of you. Loving the dark parts of yourself, because we all got it. Learn how to love that and be that. Healing is not about doing, it's about being. Be yourself. It's okay.
I had one more question, but
Okay.
I feel like if I ask this question, you have already answered it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So I always ask, with all of your lived experience and everything that you've been through in your life, you brought up little Kenyetta. What would you tell her now?
You are worthy, you are capable, you are enough.
Period.
Period. That's what I would tell her.
Oh, I love you so much.
Thank you. I love you too.
I just want to say I honor and appreciate your transparency. This message was the message that needed to be told today.
Mm.
And there's so many people that need to hear this, that need this reminder, especially now with the state of the world. I would also say as the seasons are changing, because, holidays and the winter time can bring a lot of emotions and feelings for
Yes.
people. And this is just such a beautiful reminder as we are on the cusp of walking into wintertime soon. And so I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your tears. And thank you for the work that you continue to not only put into the community, but that you put into yourself. Because girl, you taking up space. You
Thank you.
are so deserving. You are so worthy. You are capable. You are enough. And I'm so glad that I'm able to see it and the world gets to see who you continue to become. Um, and we're going to love on you and we're going to support you. And again, I thank you so much for being
Thank
here
you for
today.
having me. I appreciate your words. I appreciate you sliding into my DMs. And I feel like this is just a connection that was made that was needed for the season that I'm stepping into. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate you for being as well.
Thank you so much. I want to
Mhm.
thank everybody for joining us today. This has been so powerful. I felt like I needed a blanket because of all the chills that I was getting, because it was the message that I need to hear. And I tell Kenyetta every time she posts something, I'll reply and be like, I needed that today. You stepped all on my toes. But thank you for that. Thank you, because
You're
we
welcome.
we we need those reminders. And so I appreciate you. So we will catch everyone in the next episode. Y'all be loved, y'all be safe. As Miss Kenyetta said, y'all be yourself and fuck them people. Okay?
Period.
Peace.
Bye.